I'm going to show you how I made this picture of a Land Rover. I'm designing a board game of Caleb and the Incredible Counting Machine, and I want a card for each kind of transport that's used in the book. So this is how I did the Land Rover. I started by finding a picture on the internet that was at just the right sort of angle that I wanted. And then I reached for my trusty light box. Now this is a bit of a cheat, but I had a lot of cards to make and I wanted to find a way of speeding up the process. So using the light box, I could trace the outlines through in pencil onto watercolour paper. I just was getting the main shape so that everything would be in the right place before I put the light box away and drew in the details, which you can't really see through the paper very clearly. So then I added in final details just by looking at the photo, where the main shadows were, what was going on through the windows, that kind of thing. And then I got my inky pens. I started with a permanent pen because there were some parts of the vehicle at the very top and on the bonnet where there was a reflection, and I didn't want the ink to run to make it look dirty. Then I used my washable inky pen on all of the other lines, the bodywork, the tyres, because I didn't mind those running a bit to give that weathered, battered look. I didn't do all the little details because if there's too much of the bleeding happening, then it can spoil the picture and make it look a bit overdone. So then I used my watercolours and mixed up some light blue and a more concentrated version of it. Didn't want it to be too washed out, so I needed to keep adding in a bit more colour. You can see that I've left some bits white. It's really important with watercolour you let the paper show through in places, just so it looks like there's some reflections. Then I did the shadows using Payne's Grey, which is not quite black. It's more interesting than black. It's got some hints of purple and dark blue in it, so it doesn't look as flat and boring as just black. So you can see I'm doing all the shadows, the tyres inside the vehicle, on the windscreen. Again, make sure there's a bit of white paper showing so it looks realistic. I added the rust. I worked in some detail around the radiator and the winch. And when I was happy that I'd done most of the colour, I then switched for my fine black pen, which is only 0.2mm and is great for just adding those final details. So I worked around the headlights, the indicators, the radiator, the winch, little details on the wheels, the hubs, just making sure that everything was defined and adding some little scratches and dents just to make it look authentic and old. It was just as I was finishing off that I realised that I had actually missed a few bits of paint. So once I'd finished doing the radiator and the treads on the tyres, I reached for my paints again and finished off the wing mirror and some other shadows. And there you have it, one finished Land Rover.